Transformation begins in silence. In that moment when you look around and realize your space is suffocating your thoughts, the objects accumulated over the years no longer tell stories. They just take up space, steal your energy, and drain your inner peace. This feeling of invisible weight is no coincidence. Our relationship with the spaces we inhabit directly reflects our mental landscape. When we allow external chaos to take hold, our internal world also becomes turbulent. The path to serenity isn't about acquiring more, but about the conscious art of having less. Observe for a moment how traditional Eastern homes value empty spaces as much as filled ones. It's not about living with next to nothing. It's about living with exactly what's needed. It's about transforming every corner of your home into an invitation to deep breaths and clear thinking. True wealth isn't in the objects we own, but in the freedom we feel when we aren't owned by them. Think about how many minutes, hours, or even days you've lost searching for things in the clutter. Time that could be dedicated to moments of true fulfillment, of authentic connection with yourself or with those you love. Our homes have become repositories of shopping impulses, unconsidered decisions, objects that serve only as emotional anchors for memories that may not even be that significant. The result? Environments that don't breathe, that don't invite authentic rest, that don't promote clarity. Simplicity isn't just an aesthetic choice, it's a philosophy of life. It's understanding that every object in your house should serve a purpose or spark genuine joy. When we surround ourselves only with the essentials, we create not only physical space, but mental space. Space for new thoughts to flourish, for creativity to find fertile ground, for peace to establish itself as a natural state. Transforming a chaotic environment into a sanctuary of tranquility begins with a simple question. Does this object serve my present, or is it just preserving a past that no longer exists or a future that may never come? Often we cling to things not for what they are, but for what they represent. Security, comfort, status, identity. But these feelings shouldn't depend on material possessions. In traditional Eastern homes, organization isn't just functional. It's a daily practice of respect for the space and for oneself. Cleaning isn't seen as a chore, but as a ritual that clears both the environment and the mind. Each object has its designated place, not out of obsession with order, but out of understanding that external order cultivates internal order. Imagine waking up in a room where your eyes can rest on clean surfaces, where the first sensation of the day isn't visual overload. Imagine a closet containing only clothes that you actually wear and enjoy, eliminating those daily minutes of indecision in front of pieces that no longer suit your body or your current lifestyle. In the kitchen, simplicity translates into efficiency and pleasure, essential, well-cared-for utensils that invite conscious food preparation. Without excesses that occupy drawers and cabinets, turning the act of cooking into a frustrating search for what you really need, the living room becomes a space for authentic connection with yourself and with others. Furniture chosen with intention, arranged in a way that promotes meaningful conversations or moments of solitary contemplation, without unnecessary distractions, without objects competing for your attention. The bathroom, often neglected in our reflections on spaces, can transform into a small daily spa. Essential products, soft towels, clean surfaces, a daily invitation to genuine self-care, not the kind sold in colorful bottles and empty promises. When we start to detach, we often face internal resistance. What if I need this someday? It was too expensive to just donate. It was a gift, it would be ungrateful to get rid of it. These voices are understandable. They're part of our programming in a society that values accumulation. But we can gently question them. The truth is that we rarely miss the objects we get rid of. The feeling of relief and lightness that comes with simplifying our space usually outweighs any initial attachment. And there's a deep beauty in passing on what no longer serves us, allowing objects to find new homes where they will be truly used and appreciated. The process of transforming your space doesn't have to be dramatic or happen overnight. It can start with small daily decisions. Maybe it's choosing one drawer to organize today, or deciding that for every new object that enters the house, another needs to leave, or establishing the habit of questioning each potential purchase. Will this really add value to my life? There's an ancient wisdom in the practice of living with less. It's not about deprivation, but about conscious choice. It's not about following rigid design rules, but about creating a space that reflects your deepest values and supports your well-being. The beauty of simplicity lies in its adaptability. There's no one-size-fits-all formula or a magic number of possessions. What matters is the intention behind each choice. An artist may need more materials than a writer. A family with children will have different needs than a person who lives alone. The essential thing is that every object in your house is there by conscious choice, not by inertia or unreflective accumulation. When we free ourselves from excess, we discover time and energy that we didn't even know we were losing. Maintaining a simpler house requires less of us. Cleaning becomes faster and more efficient. Organization is maintained with small daily gestures, not with strenuous tidying sessions that only postpone the inevitable return to chaos. In the mornings, a peaceful routine establishes itself naturally in an organized space. There's no need to desperately search for keys or documents. There's no visual tension from cluttered surfaces upon waking. There's just the invitation to a conscious start to the day, perhaps with a cup of tea prepared with mindfulness, enjoyed in a corner that invites contemplation. Evenings also transform. A room free of distractions and electronics becomes a sanctuary for deep rest. Clean sheets, one or two meaningful pieces of decor, maybe a book waiting to be read, nothing that overloads the senses already tired from the day. The practice of gratitude flourishes naturally in simpler environments. When we own less, we tend to value each object more. That cup made by a local artisan, chosen with care, brings more satisfaction than a dozen mugs without special meaning. The hand-woven blanket that warms your winter nights carries a story and an intention that 10 generic blankets could never offer. Simplicity also invites us to a more conscious relationship with consumption. Before each purchase, important questions naturally arise. Does this replace something that needs to be replaced, or is it just a momentary desire? Was this object produced ethically? Do I have physical and mental space for this one more thing in my life? There's a profound liberation in realizing that we don't need to follow every trend. We don't need to buy the latest version of every gadget. We don't need to accumulate in search of a completeness that, in reality, resides in simplicity. Enough reveals itself as abundance when we learn to recognize it. The seasons take on new meanings in a simpler home. Spring brings the opportunity to open windows and let fresh air circulate, perhaps changing some pieces of decor to reflect the renewal of nature. Summer invites even more simplicity, with light fabrics and spaces that breathe. Autumn can bring back cozier textures, preparing for the gathering of winter. Each change is subtle, intentional, connected to natural rhythms. In daily practice, small rituals gain importance. The act of carefully folding clothes before putting them away. The habit of cleaning the kitchen completely after each meal. The moment of contemplation before sleeping, perhaps mentally organizing the day that passed and what is to come. These aren't just organizational habits. They're practices of presence. The relationship with the objects we choose to keep also transforms. There's a natural tendency to take better care of what we really value. A wardrobe reduced to pieces we truly love leads us to treat them with more care, prolonging their lifespan. Quality kitchen utensils, well maintained, can serve us for decades, creating a connection that goes beyond mere consumption. It's not about living in a sterile or impersonal space. On the contrary, when we get rid of excess, each object we choose to keep can really shine and tell its story. A minimalist house isn't devoid of personality. It expresses a more refined personality, more conscious of its true preferences and values. Imperfection also finds its place in this philosophy. There's beauty in the natural wear and tear of well-used objects. A wooden table that shows marks of time, a fabric that has softened with washing, a utensil that is molded to the use of your hands. These imperfections tell stories of real life, not of manufactured perfection. In a world that constantly shouts for our attention, that bombards us with messages that we need more to be more, creating a space of tranquility is almost an act of rebellion. It's affirming that we find value in stillness, in simplicity, in careful attention to what we already possess. The simplification process often awakens surprising insights about ourselves. We discover attachments we didn't realize we had. We confront fears of scarcity that we may not have even known we carried. We question consumption habits passed down through generations. This isn't just a process of external organization, it's a journey of self-knowledge. Many people report an almost physical sensation of relief when they finally free themselves from belongings that no longer served a purpose in their lives. as if an invisible weight was removed not only from the space but from their shoulders, from their minds. There's a lightness that settles in, a mental clarity that emerges when the environment around us reflects only what really matters to us. Organizing spaces can follow simple principles, adaptable to any reality, grouping similar objects to facilitate access and avoid unnecessary duplicates, creating functional zones in each room dedicated to specific activities, establishing the habit of returning each thing to its designated place after use. These practices aren't complicated, but they require awareness and intention. In traditional Eastern homes, even the arrangement of furniture follows principles that promote tranquility. The entrance is a space of transition, where we leave behind the external chaos before entering the sanctuary of the home. Social environments invite connection, with seating arranged to facilitate meaningful conversations. Private spaces promote recollection and rest, free of distractions. Lighting also plays a fundamental role, natural light whenever possible during the day. At night, soft and strategic lighting that creates an atmosphere of coziness without aggression to the senses. Less dependence on strong artificial lights, more harmony with the natural cycles of light and darkness. The colors chosen for the environment also profoundly influence our mental state. Neutral and natural tones tend to promote a feeling of calm and space. This doesn't mean a total absence of color, but intentional and harmonious use. A predominantly serene space can be complemented by occasional touches of more vibrant colors in objects that bring specific joy. The relationship with plants in a simplified environment takes on a new dimension. They aren't just decorative elements, but living presences that connect the internal space with the natural world. Taking care of a few plants chosen with intention can become a daily ritual of attention and care, reminding us of natural cycles even in urban environments. The simplified kitchen invites us to a more conscious relationship with food. Without an excess of appliances that promise to facilitate tasks but end up occupying precious space, we rediscover the pleasure of preparing food with our own hands. Essential utensils, well chosen, can meet all culinary needs without creating chaos in drawers and cabinets. The bathroom, when free of the accumulation of products often motivated by insecurities, fueled by marketing, becomes a space of genuine self-care. A few quality products, chosen with awareness of their ingredients and environmental impact, can replace dozens of bottles that promise instant miracles. The workspace, whether it's a dedicated office or just a corner of the house, benefits enormously from simplicity. An environment free of visual distractions promotes concentration and creativity. Tools chosen with purpose, keeping only those that are truly necessary, facilitate workflow and reduce the mental fatigue of clutter. For families with children, simplicity doesn't mean austerity or restriction. It means creating spaces that promote meaningful play, healthy development, and a sense of security. Toys chosen with intention that stimulate creativity and imagination often provide richer experiences than rooms cluttered with options that end up ignored. The practice of gathering the family to organize and simplify together also offers valuable lessons about values, conscious consumption, and respect for shared space. Children naturally learn to value quality over quantity when they see this principle applied in the daily life of the home. The path to simplicity often includes challenges. We may face resistance from family members attached to other ways of living. We may find that some areas of the house are more difficult to simplify than others. We may relapse into old consumption patterns when confronted with stress or insecurity. These challenges aren't failures. They're opportunities to deepen our understanding and commitment to more conscious choices. There are also moments of questioning. Am I taking this too far? Am I getting rid of something that really matters? These doubts are natural and healthy. The goal isn't to follow rigid rules imposed by others, but to find your own balance, one that promotes genuine well-being in your specific reality. The practice of simplification often expands beyond the physical environment. We begin to question how we use our time, which commitments truly enrich our lives, which relationships deserve our limited energy. A packed calendar starts to feel as oppressive as a cluttered house. The courage to say no to make space for a more meaningful yes becomes a core value. As we move forward on this journey, we discover that true abundance doesn't reside in the quantity of possessions, but in the quality of attention we can dedicate to each moment. With fewer physical distractions constantly competing for our attention, We can truly see, hear, feel and savor the experiences that make up our lives. A sunset, enjoyed from an organized balcony. A meaningful conversation in a room free of visual and electronic noise. A meal prepared with attention and enjoyed without haste. A book read in a cozy corner without the constant temptation to check notifications. These simple experiences reveal themselves as the true luxury in a world of excess. The transformation of your space is, in essence, an invitation to an inner transformation. By simplifying your environment, you're creating conditions for a clearer mind, a calmer heart, a life more aligned with your deepest values. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. It's not about following trends. It's about honoring your own need for space to breathe, to think, to simply be. The journey has no determined end. There's no point at which you can say, it's complete. It's a continuous process of daily choices, of small adjustments, of growing awareness about the relationship between your external space and your internal world. And perhaps that's exactly where its deepest beauty lies, in the awareness that develops, in the path that is traveled, not in some idealized destination. The invitation has been extended to transform your environment into a space that breathes, that nurtures, that inspires, to rediscover the value of the essential, the beauty of enough, the freedom of less, to create not just an organized house, but a true home, an authentic reflection of who you are and what really matters on your journey. Right now, look around you. Observe the objects that fill your space. How many of them truly support the life you want to live? How many are there simply out of habit, attachment, or momentary convenience? The answer to these questions may be the first step on your transformation journey. Change begins with a simple gesture, perhaps reorganizing a bookshelf, perhaps getting rid of a few items that clearly no longer serve a purpose, perhaps just creating a small empty space and observing how it affects your perception of the environment. Allow yourself to experience the feeling of having more space, more air, more visual silence around you. Simplicity is within your reach, not as a distant and unattainable ideal, but as a daily practice of conscious choices, a practice that honors both physical space and inner space, recognizing the profound connection between the two. A practice that, in its essence, reminds us that we don't need much to live well. We just need enough, chosen with care and maintained with gratitude. Discover how Japanese minimalism transforms your home and your mind. Share this blessed video so that it can touch and help other people like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I leave here 2 more videos so that you can continue your search. Thank you and God bless you all. See you later.